Okay, hello everyone and good day. Before I have to introduce to you our topic for today, let me remind those masterants who have not yet submitted their proposed topic. Please work for it and for those who have submitted lately, I will reply you on Monday. Okay? The last time we have a Zoom meeting, we discussed about formulating a research problem in which it involved two activities, which are uh, reviewing the literature, which is one of the essential preliminary tasks to undertake when doing a research, and the other one, which is the formulating the research problem, considered as the first and the most important step of the research process. Now, as we go on with our lecture, we will have to discuss today on the conceptualizing research design. Okay, research design is the most important part in the steps of planning a research study. Okay, when we say research design, it involves what type of research you are engaging with. What is the purpose why you have conducted this particular research? How about the time frame? How many working days that you will be able to fulfill, or you will be able to finish your engagement? And of course, the scope and the limitations. There is a certain limit. And the last one, which is also very important, the environment where you have to conduct your study. In conceptualizing research design, it involves three major activities. The three major activities that is very important that a researcher must have to pay attention. Number one is the data collection design, the sampling design, the instrument or the data instrument development, and the pilot testing. Okay, when you have to conduct the data collections, of course, it is very important that you must have to make a questionnaire. The questionnaire should be totally based on your statement of the problem. As soon as you have collected the data from your different participants, of course, it is very important that you need to reduce the data collected into a manageable size. And then, after that, you have to develop a summary of your findings, and then you have to apply the statistical technique for the users to easily understand, and for the researcher to easily formulate a conclusions and to render recommendation. And that is very important. Why you have to conduct a research? Because you wanted to contribute something in that particular field of study. You wanted to contribute something in the field of research. And you wanted to add more knowledge on that particular topic. Okay? Looking at our PowerPoint, conceptualizing a research design explains how you will find answers to your research questions or problem. So how? So it is very important that you as a researcher should give a clear concepts on how participants or respondents answer the questions. The questions should be constructed very well. The questions should be composed as simple as possible so that the respondents, the participants, can totally understand what it is all about. Okay? And then sets out the logic of your inquiry. Okay? This is very important also because how would the respondent view your inquiry? So that is something that is difficult to do. Difficult in the sense because we don't know what would be the knowledge or the acquired informations nga naa sa imong respondents. Diba? Although there is a particular criteria sa imong respondents, but sometimes we cannot anticipate if that particular respondents is very serious when it comes to answering your inquiry. Okay, then the conceptualizing of research design includes the study design per se, that and the logical arrangements that you propose to undertake, the measurement procedures, the sampling strategy, the frame analysis, and the time frame. Okay, so you will ask, is your sample enough to draw a concrete solution? So you need to analyze. What would be your sampling strategy that you will be able to exercise your findings correctly? That you will be able to determine that this is already the answer of the questions that I am looking for. Okay? How about the time frame? From the start of your proposal down to the presentations of the findings, down to the hardbound of your manuscript, pila man ka months, maabot ba year nga mahuman ako ang maahong research? May ka 6 months research engagement enough to finish my research project? So you must have to determine clearly the time to completion. How many working days nga mahuman ako ang akong research? Okay? And then, and conceptualizing a research design, it should be valid, workable, and manageable. Okay? In conducting a research, we need to avoid research problems. We should be aware of your questions. Basin ang imong questions is unresearchable questions. So, it's you, researcher, must have to determine if your questions are researchable or unresearchable. And then, you must have to revise after you analyzed your questions. Sometimes, miingon ka nga, sa research, you must have to maintain certain ethics. Basin unja umiingon ka nga, I have conducted this research because I am politically motivated, because I made an ill-defined management problem. O, mga inaanak nga mga panghitabo. So, it's not good. So, it is very important that you must have to manage your research project as good as possible. You as a researcher must be confident in conducting your research project. Okay? Research design is really very important in a research. Ginaingon nga kung magtukod kuno kag bay, kinahanglan kuno nga na kay blueprint. Okay? Sa organization pod or sa company, naa sila mga policies and procedures nga ginapalo, nga ginatawag po na siya the blueprint of the organizations. Sa research, ang research design is considered as the blueprint. Nga naman, because research design consists of plans, consists of guide, a framework of your research project. You cannot go where you will going through if your research design is not properly made. You need to conceptualize it properly. You need to do it very clearly. Success of research can be attained through clear conceptualization of concepts. It is said that success of research totally depends on the clear conceptualization of concepts. Okay, so there is what we call descriptive studies, which is done through surveys. Okay, so in descriptive studies done through surveys, let us say, for example, you have to describe or describing groups, usually large sample size, and then you are using the closed-ended questionnaires with a selection of Likert type ratings scales, and then checklists and similar instrument. Okay, I have here an example: survey of grade school pupils' attitudes toward school, survey of secondary school teachers' computer skills, survey of graduating students' work skills and habits. Okay, descriptive survey method is, you need to explain why you use this particular method, why you use this particular design. Okay, then you will have to say to you have to tell to your research the descriptive survey method is appropriate whenever one is interested in knowing the extent to which different conditions will vary among the different variables which are the focus of the research. So, mayroon ka descriptive survey, this signifies the gathering of data regarding the present conditions. Okay? This study, when you after the participants answer the questions, researcher validate the responses given in order for the survey to be both reliable and valid. As I have said, it is important that the questions are constructed properly. How about your variables? So, the variables of the study were taken into consideration, and the survey questionnaires were designed to answer the problems. Okay, and then in a research design, it is very important that you need to tell that your research is a quantitative research or a qualitative research, or combinations of both quantitative and qualitative research. Next design is the correlational or associational studies. Okay, so it's very clear in my PowerPoint that this defining or describing the relationship between variables requires quantitative measures of two variables, a predictor X, for example, and a criterion Y. Okay, so I have here an example. Is there a significant relationship between sociability and leadership skills? Or another example, does grade in elementary math predict grades in high school math? Or how strong is the relationship between language skills and numerical skills? So you wanted to establish the relationship between one variables to another. That is with regards to correlational or associational associational studies. Oh, okay. Simply correlational studies. Listen pagbigkas, no? Okay, let's proceed. So, based on our discussion, we can say that a research design is considered as the blueprint. Kung ang bahay na ay blueprint, ang research na po ay blueprint. So, ngayong blueprint, this serve as a plan, as a guide, as a framework, kung asa ka pa dong. Why you have conducted this particular research? Ngayong ka nga, my purpose, I have to conduct this particular research because my end view of this is to propose a recommendations to improve, for example, the existing maintenance management of a particular company, like that. Okay, so your view is your end view. Why you have to conduct this particular study is to render recommendations for improvement of human resource department, for example, for improvement of the supply chain. Okay, let's proceed. We will go to constructing an instrument for data collection. This is very important because you will not be able to get the desired or your desired information if instrument is not constructed well. Okay, so anything that become a means of collecting information for your study is called your research tool or research instrument. So your research instrument will be arranged or totally based on your statement of the problem. Okay, so in the statement problem number 1, so there must be a specific questionnaire for that particular SOP. That SOP, the questions or the statement of the problem number 1, SOP number 1 will be answered through a particular research tool nga gibase nimo sa imong statement of the problem. Okay? So, a research instrument can be in the form of observation forms, interview schedules, questionnaires, and interview guide. Example, mingon kintahay ka, what is the level of manifestation of change management as perceived by the respondents in the areas of 1. Communication, 2. Leadership, 3. Procedural justice. Okay, so you must have a corresponding tool for communication, a corresponding tool for leadership, a corresponding tool for procedural justice. Okay, so a questionnaire or a research tool can either be constructed or research mode instrument, already constructed once used in a similar study, or a standard research instrument. Unsa man ni? So, ikaw as a researcher, pwede kang maghimo og imong kaugalingong research instrument as long as that particular research questions is totally based on your SOP. Okay, but you are also allowed to use questionnaire or to use a tool which is already used by the other researcher. Okay, kumbaga gitawag sa standard research instrument. The only difference is that for the researcher made questionnaires, field testing or known as pre-test should be conducted. Okay? Nga naman, because you wanted to test, or you have to test its validity, or you have to conduct, in other words, you have to conduct a dry run procedure. Kaya nga naman, because you wanted to know if the particular tool or if the particular questions nga imong gihimo is very effective. Okay? And then, okay guys, I think this is all for today. We will continue our discussion next meeting about the sampling design. Okay, if you have some questions with regards to our discussion, don't hesitate to contact me anytime. Okay, I have noticed that there are some discussions here na nagbalik-balik. uh, pag-trim na ho sa video, na edit po paadyo. Okay, and naapoy na mispronounce na bulol ang dila, pero nabawi raman po. Sige lang, because ang sa research instrument na ay pilot test, kini pud ato ron atong klase, kini ang pure testing. Okay guys, na ako'y i-attach ninyo sa inyong GC sample research proposal from one of my advices. This will serve as your guide. So you have to read this in advance, study every chapter, and if you have questions, you may contact me anytime. Okay,